Yo, what is up folks, MTG here with a pretty spicy greenback lands list starring Primeval Tortoise. If you're not familiar, this is like a black-green land shell, but the new card that's kind of powering it up that we're trying out today is Blossoming Tortoise, or again, Primeval Tortoise if you like. 2 green for a 3/3. When Blossoming Tortoise enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards, then return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then additionally, activated abilities of lands you control cost 1 less to activate. And land creatures you control get +1/+1. So a lot of like bonus text here, but the gist is, when it ETBs, when it attacks, mill 3 cards, return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Ergo, the kind of like Primeval Tortoise. Obviously, Primeval Titan goes and gets lands from your library, but we make do. And it's only 4 mana, which is significantly cheaper. You have a bunch of kind of lands matters cards around that. To start things off, at 1, 4 copies of Elvish Reclaimer. +2/+2 if there are 3 more land cards in your graveyard, so it becomes a 3/4, kind of nice. But 2 tap, sacrifice a land, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Puts lands into your graveyard, which matters for hey, you've got lands around Tortoise. There's a few other cards here, like Titania, which we'll get to, which care about lands in graveyard. But then also becomes big later. And we have some particular lands we can fetch with it, such as Riveter's Overlook, and then also we've got Fabled Passage, just kind of like dump even more lands in our graveyard and kind of pop off that way. The other 1-drops we're playing, Deathrite Shaman. Amazing cards, but kind of like lackluster in the Explorer and Pioneer formats we're going to be looking today. But that's largely because you don't have a good way to get lands in your graveyard. Here, while we do want some lands in our graveyard, we're also going to have some extra ones. And that is that we can use this as a like mana accelerant early, and then additionally the black and green abilities here to burn our opponent out and gain some life are both like really relevant, super awesome. You then have 2 copies of Arboreal Grazer. This is an accelerator, letting us play more lands. Just simply O3 with reach, so it actually blocks pretty well too. Enter the battlefield, put a land card from your hand to the battlefield tapped. Nice. And then lastly, one, we've got 3 copies of Fatal Push. Kind of like, hey, we're a kind of combo deck, or like pseudo combo deck, but we're playing some like kind of mid-range cards, just kind of like be honest and kind of get through the early game. So we've got 3 copies of Fatal Push here, and then at 2 we've also got a Go for the Throat and Power Word Kill again. I bang on about it a lot, but instant speed cards to deal with Grease Fang, so you don't just like die on turn 3, or have some at least. Game plan against that. So all these 1-drop creatures, a whole 10 of them. And part of the reason for this, especially with things like Arboreal Grazer, we also have Fiend Darters in here, holding everything together and kind of bridging the gap between our 1-drops and our 3s and 4s. So Black-Green Hybrid, for a 1/1, +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard, okay? But X and then Black-Green Hybrid, tap, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, put onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate them as a sorcery. So things like Arboreal Grazer, where it's going to enter the battlefield, kind of do its thing, get you another land to play, have some like extra 1-drops laying around to pod away, we're going to pod them away and get our 3s and 4s, which are the real kind of like meat and potatoes of the deck. To kind of explain this, let's actually go through Dread Presence first. 3 and a black for a 3/3. Whenever a swamp enters the battlefield under your control, choose 1. Either draw a card, lose a life, or deal 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. And that second ability, where we're kind of like dealing 2 damage to any target, so player or like you can start wiping the board with creatures. This is your Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle in this deck, in that we're going to like basically get a bunch of swamps into play. They're going to start picking up, we're going to start picking our opponent, just burning them out after wiping their board. So Dread Presence is like the main big payoff card in the deck, and we have a few things to enable it. The first of those is Dryad of the Elysian Growth. Additional land later turns, but also lands you control are every basic land type, which means that all the lands you're playing are in fact swamps for Dread Presence. Awesome. We then have Rampant Excavator and Tireless Tracker as kind of like one-ofs that we can tutor up with Fiend Darters in. Rampant Excavator, just a way to get lands back from your graveyard, which is especially good with things like once you've gone off with Riveter's Overlook and Fabled Passage. And even we've got Viruna here to kind of deal with man lands. These are all going to the graveyard after they're being used. Similar with Reclaimer, sacrificing lands, they go to the graveyard, bring them back. Those lands are then swamps. They all trigger Death Presence, especially with Passage, Overlook here, which are going to go enter the battlefield and then also be sacrificed to go get more lands. Hey, all those swamps build up, deal a bunch of damage, either wipe our opponent's board or just burn them out. Pretty awesome. And hey, you can also gain, like, draw cards in mid-range and, like, control matchups. Really solid. Tireless Tracker, Ye Old Faithful. This is my favorite card in Magic. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate, so get a clue. When you sacrifice a clue, get a counter. Just gets you some card advantage here. Kind of like good versus those control matchups, and I really want to include it. And the last thing at 3 that also is another real incentive for this kind of build is Titania, Voice of Gaia. So 1 green for a 3/4 with reach. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you gain 2 life. Okay, sweet. We're already like getting rid of our lands, getting rid of our lands, getting rid of our lands, putting them in the graveyard. Cool. Beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 more land cards in your graveyard and you both own and control Titania and a land named Argoth, Sanctum of Nature, we're playing 2 of each here. Obviously, we can tutor for the Titanias with Fiend Artisan, and we can tutor for the Argoth with Elvish Reclaimer and kind of like mill towards getting into play with the Primeval Tortoise. You can flip it into Titania Gaia Incarnate, which is Vigilance, Reach, Trample, Haste. Power times equals the number of lands you control, and when it enters the battlefield, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So, if the threat that you're making, the Vigilance, Reach, Trample, Haste, power times equals the number of lands you control, isn't enough to kill them, bringing all those lands back when you have a Dread Presence in play will hopefully do that. And that is kind of the game plan. So yeah, 2 Titanias, and then 4 each of Dread Presence and Blossoming Tortoise, our Primeval Tortoise, the kind of linchpins of the deck. The mana base, so 4 copies of Fable Passage, sacrifices for a basic land. We're playing a lot of basics here, but hey. Early, they come to play tapped. Later on, when you've got some lands into play, they come into play untapped, which is great. Riveted's Overlook looks like a particular shout out to Elvish Reclaimer, and also synergizes really well with other cards. But when it enters the battlefield, it immediately gets sacrificed when you do search your library for a basic swamp, mountain, or forest card, put onto the battlefield tapped, gain a life. So some incidental life gain there, but the difference between reclaiming for like Fable Passage or reclaiming for another land and reclaiming for Riveted's Outlook is that because the land enters the battlefield tapped anyway, you still get to go, okay, I'm going to go sacrifice a land, so that's 1 land in your graveyard, get a Riveted's Outlook, and then immediately sacrifice, putting a second land in your graveyard, and to get another land. So you're already dumping 2 lands for Reclaimer. If you've already got a land in your graveyard, you can really ambush your opponent with this effect, either save it from removal, or kind of block and just like make it bigger, and your opponent will be shocked the first time you do it. A Field of Ruin, because man lands are pesky, and some additional value there. 4 copies of Blooming Marsh, kind of as a dual land to hold everything together. And then 5 copies of Forest and Swamp. We do have like Dread Presence in the deck, so if you've got a black source you want to tutor for forests early, but then obviously once you've got the Dryad in play, these all the lands will trigger your presence. And then some more utility here. 1 Besage, obviously pesky artifacts, enchantments, or alternatively lands on your opponent's side. And then Takanuma as well, either recycle like Blossoming Tortoise, Dread Presence, gets back everything, just really, really solid, with 2 copies of Argoth, which, along with being able to flip into Titania Gaia's Incarnate, also lets you have like a self-mill effect that makes bears. What's not to love about that? So that's the main deck. I'm going to go through the sideboard and then we'll hop into some best of 3 ranked games. So, slightly disorganized here. So the first thing here is 2 copies of Raven Enfeeblement versus Greasefang, kills Greasefang, versus Mono White, also does a lot of work there. Great. 2 copies of Terra Sunder, again, pesky artifacts, enchantments. In this deck, so we're playing green and black, we can also use the kicker to exile land permanents instead, some extra upside. A couple of more things for Greasefang and other graveyard decks with 2 copies of Unlicensed Hearse. You have 1 copy of Glister as a bit of a catch-all that also provides some extra value versus control decks, being able to just kind of like hit them and draw cards, or alternatively things like Fires where they can threaten to destroy enchantments. Casualties of War, because we have some acceleration with either like Deathrite Shaman, be able to get extra land drops with Arboreal Grazer and Dryad of the Illusion Grave. Casualties is a nice way to leverage that against mono green and just like kind of blow up a bunch of their stuff, which is great, and just kind of like crush what they're doing. Feels great. 3 copies of Thoughtseize, really versus combo decks, but can also come in versus control. 2 copies of Ren and Realmbreaker, does get back pretty much everything in the deck, which is really nice, and like, hey, a threat there too. I've been really impressed with this card actually. Like, I wasn't really like super high on it when it came out, but in this deck I think it's really, really strong. So nice sideboard card there versus control, and again those kind of mid-range decks. And lastly, 2 copies of Extinction Event versus aggro. It's a nice one where you're kind of playing like some creatures yourself and can often get a 2-for-1 where you leave like a couple, like 1 or 2 of your creatures in play as well. So, let's hop into some ranked games. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I also need to say a huge thank you because we just hit 1,000 subscribers, which is like unbelievable. And yeah, let's get into some ranked games. Alright, first match here with the Primeval Tortoise lands deck, who we're up against. Essentially some polarizing matches. We have like cards that are important. We don't have any early game stuff here. I'm going to keep it. The Dryad of Legion Grove with kind of like a backup one. Plus the Dread Presence is nice, but we'd like some early interaction. Or to make up an Legion. Red, blue. Could be something like Transmogrify. Death right here will probably early. I'll hold on to the stage for now. Could be something like Transmogrify, could also be something like Creativity, but like at this point still be something. No reads off the fiery impulse. All implies something slower. Also, not really in the Transmogrify deck. It's either, or most likely either like the Gearhulk Creativity deck, or field, try the Dryad first. If it resolves, we can make that approach. Okay, like, obviously it could be like normal creativity. But Hall certainly implies lower version. We'll see, we'll see. I say that like Mutavault into Fable and I'm like, do the channel over, we don't have great ways. But not. Alright, so Threads to play. We'll play it and take the opportunity here to light the shame. Deathrite can sit back and drain, and so we'll just attack him with it. There you go. With Dryad in play and Dread Presence, it like enables our field of runes to do some pretty awesome things. To start draining them away with Deathrite as well, because we'll have to look at. I wanted to check on resolution. Yeah. Sorry, something more. We'll see, we'll see. No lands discarded for Steve. Do you love a Death Rat? Oh, this is pretty hype. So this currently represents like, hey, is combat, or do we just play this out? I don't want the Dare Presence to get ambushed, so I'm just gonna make this. Like, because of the nature of the matchup, we're actually more likely to try and burn them out. We want to have some defense versus combo. Let's do this. So the Overlook, while it does tap for mana here, you can actually hold priority if I'd use the full control there to wipe mana off it. I'm not. With the Dryad in play, we may as well leave the swamps in the deck. We'll have black mana for death. See? I'm gonna pass, leaving up the field over in. It's gonna make some tokens. Okay. Do we have any way of interacting with? Not treasures, really. So, normal creativity, they need 5 mana. Don't currently have 2 red sources. I'm actually a little wary of blowing up the mute. Go for that. Let's just say go, because then we can use the field half to kill the backside of Fable. They have to sacrifice these treasures for mana. Bit of an odd one. Yeah, sure. Do you have red mana? Creativity on the 2 tokens. Is there anything we can do about that? We can kill the black ship. That's 29. Creature we get to 31. Well, that's kind of. I I don't know if they'll, I'm just gonna... Now I will take out the meter. Okay, so then... Clear this because it can block. ER and Death Rate Shaman to go to 31. Live on 1 life. Back here, activate. Hey! Oh, we got away with one there. Oh, that was pretty sick. Alright, alright. Okay, big oopsie. I forgot to key for best of 3 instead of best of 1. I forgot to switch over. But I'm gonna leave that best of 1 game in because it was actually really sick. But yeah, best of 3 from here. But yeah, I'm still pretty chuffed with the World's Plan 1. We managed to just live it out. This is a pretty interactive hand. We have Death Right, we have ways to get mana, turn it into mana early. Also got interact. Feel pretty good about this. Don't have a Black Tools in hand, but plenty of ways to... see what our opponent's actually up to. Doing a big thing. Cave to me implies mono white, like some kind of weird like green white hay bear stuff. Or potentially like because they didn't come down on the 1-drop, and normally in this deck. I'm gonna go ahead. Let's save available path. Got Overlook and Grammar Black, just to make sure we've got Fable put available. What they're actually up to. Okay, Aspirant. There. Interesting. At this point I kind of want to save Fable Passage, because we've got lands to play over the next... Death Right, and... I'm going to push this... just in case there's some... Alright, so we have mana we can use for the derivatives out. Okay, interesting. Did double spell. Fine. I'm kind of happy leaving this in play because it also slows them down a little bit. Got some expensive spells we want to attain. Given all this, oh, they do have a scavenger ground. That is. They might not have time to use it. Doesn't mean we want to hold the position. We could just kill this and make... I thought about leaving this... I said, like, leaving this play I think is fine. I don't want to ignore the scavenger. This feels bad, but... Exile the Overlord. I'll play this Fable Passage out, but I'm not going to say. Because next time we'll be able to... Like, ideally we don't play the Beseiju or the Takanima. The late 12. It looks to be like a mono white heap. Kind of goes on itself. Death Right, I still kind of want to get rid of. Well, Saturday Passage. I said you also answer Skrell, but we actually really want to upgrade. I don't think they have anything to play off of it, so I think I'm sad because there's no way for us to do this element. The Tiny is legendary. Oh, we don't have another green. Let's just get this out of the way. There's 2 lands in our graveyard. It means you can threaten to do dumb reclaim. See, this can dump. Okay. Sorry, I kind of tanked a little bit there. But now we can reclaim her, get an overlook. That puts 4 lands in our graveyard. That plus titanium makes enough. Ooh, new aspirant. See how they spread the counters out here? They respect reclaim on. I'm gonna dump both its. They are. Are they gonna go protection? No, 1 card left. I think I'm. Basically gonna make them make. They could have a removal spell. Specifically. Need 1 more. That's fine. Basically, they can kill 1 of these. They can chomp their reclaimer off. But that's like their big threat now. They've dumped their count. Ooh, they assigned to the death rate, which I guess is the way we have to gain life back. But activate reclaim. Play titanium here. Good play out. Alright. No signs of the big tortoise yet. But let me. I don't want to stack in here just in case they. Field. Fine with that. We're gonna find a forest again. Again, like you want to leave swamps in your deck if possible. I wonder what the last card in hand is though. Paladin class. Better find. Is it abilities as well, or just spells? Spells your phone. Okay, I'm gonna level it up. We can pay life here to push down. Oh, they're facing down. Do not. I'll hold this one. I'm just gonna pass turn. Have the reclaimer active. To go and find Argoth again. Well, our land's back into flip. Yeah. That's sweet. Whenever you attack until ends, okay, just double swing for double strike. It has to be attacking multiple. Not too bad. They can, like, that is a clock for sure. It becomes like a 10 in pro green. Is each other. Ignore this. Yeah. Damage. We'll sacrifice away. Use the Academic. We gain some life. I grab the second copy of Argoth. There we go. Nice. And we have a choice here between gaining life and our friends are 20. We currently have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 left. So I need that in 2 turns. I'll just gain life here. Alright, let's see what our draw step is. So, Vigilance, Reach, Trample, Haste, brings back all my land. Up, then bunch of triggers, that kind of stuff. Versus Mono White, we've got the 2 rare achievements. I think we've got this event, probably it. In terms of what we're cutting from our side, and no real need for the Tyler's Tracker, that's kind of like a more a grindy late game card. Something like Artisan, we're not necessarily going to have with these. Fine with what we want for defense. Excavate is fine, but again, it's more for the grinding matchups here. Gonna have tons of interest. Death Presence, Cosmic Title stuff once we get there. And the last thing to cut here. Either of these. Brian? No, I'm gonna cut the other thing though. It doesn't actually get very big, which means it doesn't block very well, and then it's really, really slow to activate. So kind of planning it out. Like the ideal start would be like Grazer into house, and then you get like a block with a Grazer, still spending your entire time. Double Tortoise, we are gonna be on the line. The mono green hand. That is like. Just gonna leave it there. The Scavenger Ground was a nice one. How a lot of utility in the format doesn't really get played at all. But a land with the ability to just exile graveyards is pretty good. It deserves a little bit more respect in general. I'm gonna take this time to make the Argoth because it has to enter the back of the cat, unless we control Legend of the Future. Just get this out here. Kind of commit to taking 3 from the Aspirant, but fine with that. We're in a position where we can play Extinction Event, naming even fairly quickly. Still. Well, let's count on the Skyclave. So tap C. Look at it. If we're at the point where we're like close to being able to. Sadly, no lands for us. Hey, Death Right? If it's just the Aspirant on odd, it does catch the Death Rights, I guess. See what they do. I'm kind of unsure how the tortoises are actually going to going to try it out. 3 blocks here puts us down at 12, which is quite far. Dash is annoying. This is a weird one. We can blow this up and then use the Death Right to. Actually, that's kind of sick, almost. I think this is fine. We definitely want the Lion Slash not in play. The reason why this works here is that even if we don't draw the land, we can use the Death Right here to play a Tortoise. They've not actually seen them yet, which is also fine. Giving them land I don't feel too bad about, but it might let them level up power. Did draw land anyway. Cool, which means you can bring it now, bring it back. I'm gonna go ahead and have our first toy. Yeah. Oh, we see a lot of stuff. Into some coin. Lands in our graveyard. For later. Yeah, if you're still in our graveyard, I think we just try to tap. So we'll just grab the over. Again, we are in a position where we want to grab. I'm gonna grab one swamp here, just because we've only got one actual. No attack. Go ahead. So, Tortoise, along with the like ETB or attack military culture channel land ability, also lets activate ability advantage control cost one less. So, like activating Argoth, for example, this is. Or alternatively, land creatures, which we actually aren't playing. But, we have a backup Tortoise. They're not actually. We're gonna actually. I kind of want to say, okay, send these to the guards. Exile the Overload. Eat something. Land on 11. Your creatures die. Then now, basically, like I'm looking at extinction event, take out this guy. I'm gonna attack with Tortoise. See what we hit. Okay. Forest. Event. Use odd or even. Exile the chosen one. Odd. Yeah, so I can. I'll want one. May as well play the rest. Alright, cool. So we have backup Tortoise coming in. They just kind of decide how they want to play this, whether they want to keep attacking, or whether they want to kind of leave the Lunark back. Let's kind of set up the Tortoise. We still are missing Dread Presence. We don't have Dried Up in the Illusion. These are the other two kind of combo pieces. Yeah, there. New Apparition seemingly takes the Tortoise. How do they know? Aspirant, still annoying. I'm gonna bot. Keep our life settle up. Currently is new Tortoise. But that is gonna pull. We have 3 copies of Dread Presence. Then again with the Overlook. And leave the top so possible. Play this out as a 3-4. Both act. I'm a little worried they start level up the Paladin class again. Here it is. If they attack with everything, we're in a bit of trouble. Let's just flip this. 5-5 and a 5-4. I really do want to keep the Tortoise alive. A minute at least. Yeah. I'm fine chucking Razor and the plus hit. Go to 7. Unless new Reclaimer. Huh. In with a Tortoise. Am somewhat Too thin. Maybe just try and thin it. Maybe we should have milled with the art. I think we're on this kind of line anyway. What do they have here? They've already got the Yango in place. I'm not too worried about it. Cost 3 mana transform this, and they've got the 3 different creatures. One of the other things we can do is look to there are, I know what could be in here. It's not more tree mod. There's a land that you it's from Golgari. Get it back. Might be more tree. Oh, that's the flying cave. Can't quite survive. Alright, go to game 3. I'm just gonna double check the name. Mortuary Mine? There's Mortuary Mine, which puts like that's from Battle of Zendikar, puts a card from the graveyard on top of your library. Also, the Witch's Cottage if you've got swamps. And there's one from Dominaria as well, which I can't remember the name of, which we will. I will add that actually. I'm still, I think, fairly happy with how we sideboarded, so I'm just gonna run this back. Okay, so the extra land for Grazer, we do have the 2 important parts here with Presence plus Blossoming Torch. Opponent has mulliganed. I think our best start here is going Reclaimer and seeing if we hit the second land drop. Sorry, hit the third land drop. If we hit the third land drop, we can onboard our Grazer straight. And decide whether we want. Don't. You can activate this here. And then enable Deathrite to. Rather, I guess, do it this way around. Gonna poke him. And I think at this point we just play the Razor out because at some point it's not making use of any additional land drops from our hand here. Mark, if you hit land 3, which is nice. No place for our opponent other than the can hold this up. Just in case our opponent has some. Like, I don't think they're going to be playing Containment Priest, but like. And Reclaimer on end step. Oh, it's a Dread Presence or Bloom. The only thing we're missing here is a Dryad of the Illusion. Now, our opponent has a very, very slow hand. Good, because our hand is not like high effect at all. They did mulligan as well. Sack. Forest. And I want to basically start dumping land quickly. So rather than going and getting like an Argoth Overlook, then itself gets sacrificed. This also provides a lot of food for Deathrite if need be. Depending if we Grab before. So interesting. Oh, there is a Dryad. Let's get an extra. But I think for playing Primeval Tortoise, get Tortoise to play. Kind of start, because that starts generating more. Style, Forest. Green hit, after Tortoise. You know we have at least one land 3 back. Hit here. You show opponent the Raven people. The nice thing about the outlook is that it goes back to the graveyard. Ahead again. Life here. Forest. This is a 1-1. I'm gonna. So potentially they have Spellclave Apparition or another removal spell for the Tortoise. Aspirant into looks to be. So I think now we're like, let's get presents to play. I think we have it into. Well, they could have like a Fateful Absence, but I want to basically play their presents and go to combat with. Do you have a Fateful Absence? Really need to do. Next turn, like, hey, we can look to now. We've got this in place. Successful. Dryad. We have backups of all our cards. It's pretty great. Okay, we're gonna get even more clues as the Trio Presence gets Fateful Absence. This is gonna be a trifecta. We should start working out. Problem. Radiant Movement is a nice one, but it's going Dryad here. Don't really want to exile it. This is big, but not. The other thing I guess is that we can exile the Overlook. And get a new. Oh, Ray does cost more. Forget about that. Also. Oh. Good box here. 15. Plus they have. Spellbinder. That is tilt. Now I think I'm gonna have to cast. We have one. Let's draw a land eventually. It's been a little sloppy for me. Get the over. We can block the farmhand. Just making sure that the spellbind probably the best. One of these is getting. Draw Presence it is, goes to 7 mana, which is a, well, actually 6 mana. It's currently showing as more at the minute. Glass. Go ahead and play this. One land and the other for a claimer. Huh. Weird one where like casting the turtle team is right, but also like casting the. Okay, that's pretty nice. You'll get back Argyle? Now in a position where we can just cast her. I'm gonna go ahead and go to red zone off of the other. Back. That's how it goes. I try and look to about our opponent out. Honestly. So because we have the Dryad in play, with the Tortoise we can get back Remittance Overlook, will trigger your presence, and then the land that we get off of it. That represents 4 damage. It's enough to like clear most of them. Or whatever they've got left over. Did it anyway. See how it works out. It looks like they might have another remove. Oh, okay. Larch is pretty good versus Reclaimer. Okay. I think got the Paladins class. They do have Fiddler in open, but not actually. It's a weird situation where. You know? I guess now before we get presents in. Now we'll grab Black Source just to another one. I have to like, decide now if they want to. 16, I'm gonna block this. Our plan doesn't really change. Oh, it was just kind of huge. Go to tap with the draw. The Brewmat Overlook. Overlook's going to trigger the Dread Presence. Will do 2 damage to the Mark Aspirant gains you. It's going to get sacrificed. Out of that against some life. I'm going to forest hit. Same again. Finish off the Aspirant. This is while they're kind of. While we have it at. I'll Axel the field. It'll push the farm. And we're in a really nice spot. Gonna attack with the Dryad here, got damage in. This game has been a little sloppy for me to be honest, but we're getting there. We might have worked it out. Head and sacrifice one of these, please. Come back. You have 1 basic left to fetch off over the look. These attacks. We've draft it back, so we've got the Fateful Ab. Everything plays a bit of a role. Like it's sort of like a 3-card combo deck with at least the Dryad, Blossom Tortoise, and Death Presence. But all the individual pieces are pretty good. The Dryad lets you ramp. The Tortoise is going to let you a bunch of like lands, and then Dread Presence. Hey, we've got a bunch of swamps anyway we can play and shoot stuff down with or draw cards. Yo, so recording this after the fact. I went to record these games a couple of times because I realised the audio was horribly scuffed, and unfortunately haven't been able to get it in a good place. So even as I record this, it's still absolutely messed up. Still gonna work on it, but wanted to get the video uploaded. Still, felt pretty bad. So the deck overall, I think, performed quite well. A couple of different bits and pieces to look at. Maybe we don't need the Tireless Tracker in the main deck here. There's a couple of like other things. Like we've got some interaction, which is good. We didn't really get to do any Fiend Artisan stuff, but it's still there and it kind of enables a lot of the deck. The core concept I think is really strong. The one thing I was saying that I mentioned before is this Memorial to Folly card. Enter battlefield tapped, adds for black, and then 2 and a black, sacrifices your target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This needs to be in the deck. I think in place of the Takanuma. It feels like a bit of a weird switch. However, more Safari, being able to get it back with Tortoise to then, like, as we're milling cards into our graveyard, get back our other pieces. I think that's really, really solid. The thing I'm leaning towards is cutting the Takanuma because we don't really activate it very often. I would add the Memorial Safari in. It's a tap land, but it's one that's, like, definitely worth it. Other than that, like, pretty happy with how the shell performed. There are definitely some polarizing matchups where, like, versus some combo stuff, you are, like, pretty slow, you're not a fast deck. There is also potential to play, like, Scapeshift, but, like, you're looking at still a 3-card combo with Dryad, Go Presence, and Scapeshift, and, like, the other pieces are a lot better by themselves than Scapeshift would be, because it doesn't really do anything on its onesies. So, hey, just keep in mind of Memorial Folly, great addition, and I'm hoping to sort this audio out, because obviously I'm trying to fix it. But we might get an audio upgrade. No absolute promises, but we may actually get, like, something a little crisper. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do like and subscribe. Again, I'm really, really sorry the audio is so messed up. Did have some fun games, like the World Spine Worm surviving versus the World Spine Worm was awesome. Yeah, please do share. Actually, maybe don't share this video, but hey, it's really, really cool. And yeah, listen to the description, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you made it to the end here, just like absolute thank you very much for watching and struggling through that. And I hope to have everything fixed soon. Peace.